God, no. Just someone I'm seeing until something better comes along, she said when her friend asked if I was her boyfriend. I was getting her coats. Heard her. Grabbed mine, left hers, and walked out. She called 20 minutes later asking where I went. I said, finding something better, and hung up. Hey viewers, before we move on to the video, please make sure to subscribe to the channel and hit the like button if you want to see more stories like this. Thanks. I used to think something better meant a promotion, a nicer apartment, a faster car. The kind of goal you work towards. I never understood it could be a person. That I could be the temporary shelter while someone waited for a permanent upgrade. For 6 months, I was that shelter for Sienna. It started brilliantly. She was all sparkling energy and impulsive joy, a whirlwind of Instagram aesthetics and latte art. I was Alex, the steady project manager who found her chaos charming. I organized her closet when she complained she could never find anything. I debugged her laptop when she had a deadline. I was the calm port in her self-created storm, and she'd kiss my cheek and call me her anchor. I mistook utility for affection. The signs were there, in the data, if I'd chosen to read them. Take a Tuesday, 2 months in. She'd had a devastating day. A brand collaboration fell through. I left work early, bought the ingredients for her favorite truffle risotto, something that takes constant attention. She scrolled through her phone on the couch, feet tucked under her, while I stirred. It's just so unfair, she sighed, not looking up. My engagement was perfect. Their vision is just basic. Their loss, I said, grating Parmesan. Dinner's almost ready. I brought her a bowl, perfectly plated. She took a picture, then ate 3 bites. It's a bit rich, don't you think? I ate my serving. It tasted like effort, and it was perfect. Later, I tried to pin down a future. That new immersive art exhibit is coming in September. Tickets go on sale Friday. Should I grab 2? She was applying a charcoal face mask, her expression unreadable under the gray smear. September? Alex, that's like 100 years from now. No point planning that far ahead. Something better will probably pop up. I let it go. I was being the chill, stable guy. The uncomplicated rock. Another data point, my friend's rooftop barbecue. My people, software engineers, a graphic novelist, a teacher. Normal, laugh until you snort people. Sienna glued herself to my side, her hand possessively on my arm, laughing too loudly at my jokes. She was performing perfect girlfriend. The moment we were in the car, the performance ended. God, your friend Dave is so boring, she said, checking her reflection. He actually talked about property taxes for 10 minutes. And his wife's sweater, it was from Target, like, visibly. They're good people, I said, a faint defensiveness rising. They're settled people, she corrected, as if it were a disease. There's a difference. The what are we? Conversation happened in a haze of post-intimacy comfort, my arm around her. It felt like the right time. You know, I started. My sister asked if you were coming to the family lake trip in July. She stiffened almost imperceptibly. Labels are so corporate, Alex. So final. Can't we just enjoy this? It's good. Why put a box around it? I wanted the box. I wanted the label. But I nodded into her hair. Yeah, just enjoying it. I was her placeholder. And I was diligently, lovingly, sanding my own edges to fit the space she needed me to occupy, blind to the fact she was already browsing for permanent furniture. The inn began on a Thursday at the rooftop bar of the aviary. It was for her friend Tara's birthday. Tara, who worked in PR and spoke exclusively in buzzwords. The crowd was Sienna's ecosystem. Influencers, aspiring actors, people whose personal brand was their primary personality. I wore a jacket she'd picked out. You need to look the part, Alex, she'd said, smoothing the lapels. The part, apparently, was accessory. I paid for the Uber Luxe. I paid for the overpriced cocktails she and Tara photographed. I listened to conversations about algorithmic reach and vibes. I was the silent, smiling +1, the wallet with a pulse. After 2 hours, my soul felt diluted. Sienna was in her element, flitting from group to group, leaving me stranded by a heat lamp. She'd circle back, hand me her drink to hold, and disappear again. Finally, around 11, she shivered dramatically. Ugh, I'm freezing. Can you grab my coat? The faux fur one. My clutch is in the pocket. A simple errand. A final, functional task. The cloakroom was a sleek, mirrored alcove off the main lounge, separated by strings of delicate, glowing beads. I gave the attendant the ticket. As he turned to look, the noise from the party dipped, and voices from just the other side of the bead curtain sliced through. Tara's voice, sharp and giggly. So, okay, spill the tea. Is Alex, like, your boyfriend now? It's been what, 6 months? You're practically married. My hand froze, the ticket halfway to the attendant. A cold, clear silence opened up inside my head, an auditorium waiting for the lead actor's line. And Sienna delivered. Her voice, dripping with a casual, wine-loosened contempt I'd never heard aimed at me, but now recognized as its true tone. God, no. Just someone I'm seeing until something better comes along. A tinkling laugh. My blood turned to static. I mean, he's sweet. He pays for everything, doesn't complain, and the sex is decent, reliable. But come on, Tara. A project manager? He budgets for fun. He thinks a good night is board games. He's placeholder material. Comfortable. Boring. Each word was a precise, surgical incision. Once I close this deal with Vector Media, and it's basically done, I'll be moving in totally different circles. Real circles. He wouldn't even know how to talk to those people. So you're just using him? Tara asked, not sounding disapproving. Sounding clinical. It's not using, Sienna corrected, as if explaining something simple. It's strategic positioning. He's my stability base camp. Everyone needs one before they summit the real peak. The attendant cleared his throat, holding out her ridiculous, fluffy coat. The sound snapped the world back into hyper-focused detail. The sheen of the beads. The chill of the air. The weight of the jacket in my hands. I felt nothing. No rage, no heartbreak. It was like hearing a damning diagnosis for a disease you already knew you had. A final, irrefutable data point. I took my own coat. A practical, well blend she always said was too dadcore. I handed her faux fur back to the startled attendant. Sir, the other coat. She can get it herself. My voice sounded foreign. Calm. Empty. I walked out. Not quickly, not slowly. I didn't look through the beads. I didn't make a scene. I simply left her words hanging in the warm, perfumed air and stepped into the cool, quiet liberty of the night. I left her there, on her rooftop, with her future circles. I left her clutching a ticket for a coat she'd have to retrieve alone. The placeholder had just vacated the position. The cold night air wasn't a shock, it was a baptism. I breathed it in, feeling the clarity solidify with every step away from the rooftop. The emotional static was gone, replaced by a silent, humming focus. I didn't go home. Our home. I drove to a 24-hour business hotel near the airport, the kind with anonymous corridors and blank walls. I needed a neutral site to plan my extraction. In my room, I placed my phone on the desk. It lit up immediately. Sienna. 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 I watched the screen flash, a frantic, distant firefly. I didn't feel anger. I felt like a system administrator reviewing a corrupted file, deciding on the deletion protocol. After the 10th call, I answered. Not for her. For me. Alex? What the hell? Where are you? My coat is here, and I'm freezing. The Uber surge is insane. Are you having some kind of tantrum? Her voice was a jagged mix of outrage and annoyance. No guilt. No awareness. Just inconvenience. I didn't raise my voice. I didn't explain. I simply stated the new reality, my tone as flat as the hotel desk. Finding something better. I ended the call. The finality of the click was profoundly satisfying. I then powered the phone off, removing the battery for good measure. The silence was absolute. The next morning, I operated with project management efficiency. I bought a burner phone. I drove to our apartment at 10 a.m., knowing her weekend habit of sleeping until noon. Walking in felt like entering a museum of my own foolishness. The gallery wall of her curated photos. The throw pillows she'd insisted on. The faint smell of her perfume. It was all just clutter now. I went to my study, the one room she rarely entered, calling it the corporate cave. My grandfather's watch, my hiking gear, my books, my important documents. I filled 3 suitcases with everything that was authentically mine. I left every gift she'd ever given me, the stylish tie, the novelty mug, the expensive cologne that smelled like someone else. I took my name off the joint utilities account online. I left my key on the kitchen counter, next to the empty coffee pot I'd always filled for her. I was a ghost, retroactively removing my own presence. By noon, I was in a new apartment across town, A modern, sparse one-bedroom with a lease in my name only. I turned on my new phone. The backlog of messages from my old number, funneled via a temporary forward, was a masterclass in escalating delusion. Sienna, 11:03 p.m. That wasn't funny. I had to pay $90 for an Uber. You owe me. Sienna, 11:47 p.m. Okay, fine. You're mad. I get it. Come home so we can talk like adults. Sienna, 2:14 a.m. Alex, I'm worried now. This isn't like you. Are you safe? Please answer. Sienna, 8:30 a.m. Did you stay at Dave's? Tell him I say hi. Sienna, 9:15 a.m. My key isn't working. Did you change the locks? What is wrong with you? Sienna, 10:05 a.m. I'm looking through the window. Where are all your things? What is happening? Call me. I archive them all. Data points in a closed case. A week later, the first flying monkey arrived. Tara. My new phone buzzed with an unknown number. I answered, voice neutral. Alex speaking. Alex, hi. It's Tara. Her voice was artificially bright, laced with condescending concern. Tara. Listen, I'm calling because Sienna is, well, she's really hurting. She's a mess. We're all worried. I said nothing. The silence pressured her to fill it. She told me about the misunderstanding at the party. She said you heard something out of context and just bolted. She made a stupid mistake, said a dumb thing after too many drinks. Haven't you ever said something you didn't mean? I finally spoke. Tara, you were there. You asked the question. You heard her answer. Word for word. Where's the misunderstanding? The pause on the line was delicious. She hadn't expected me to know she was a direct participant. Well, it was private girl talk. You weren't supposed to eavesdrop. I was getting her coat. I corrected, my voice still calm. The coat she asked me to get. If she's crying, it's not over me. It's over the consequences. We're done here. I ended the call. The placeholder doesn't get to explain the exit strategy. Peace, I discovered, wasn't an absence of noise. It was the presence of a quiet, so profound you could hear yourself think again. I went to the gym. I read books. I saw my friends, who, once I gave them the stripped-down, factual version, unanimously said, good riddance, man. Dave's wife even baked me cookies. My work thrived. Freed from the emotional drain and the constant financial tap of funding Sienna's aesthetic, I poured my energy into a high-stakes systems integration project. 3 months after the rooftop, my boss called me in. The client loved it. The efficiency gain is ridiculous. We're promoting you to senior project lead. There's a significant bump. And a bonus. I thanked him, my satisfaction deep and personal. This was my success. Unshared. The karma for Sienna arrived not in a thunderclap, but in a series of quiet leaks, reported to me through the now-cleared pipes of my old life. First, a text from Mike, a genuinely neutral mutual friend who worked in tech. Mike, hey man, hope you're good. Weird thing. Saw Sienna at a launch party last night. She was telling anyone who'd listen that you had a mental health crisis and ghosted her. She was laying it on thick. But then I ran into Jess, who knows Tara, and Jess said the real tea is that Sienna got caught saying you were a placeholder. The story's shifting. Just FYI. I wrote back. Thanks for the intel. All good here. The mental health crisis angle was a predictable play. The victim card was her strongest suit. Then, the professional karma. I didn't seek it out. LinkedIn served it to me on a platter. Congratulations. Post from a contact at Vector Media, the agency Sienna had name-dropped. I clicked. They were celebrating a new brand ambassador. It was a fresh-faced Gen Z activist, not Sienna. The caption praised the new partner's authentic voice and aligned values. A smirk touched my lips. Authentic. The one thing Sienna could never be. Her social media, which I hadn't blocked but never checked, became a case study in passive-aggressive performance. She posted melancholic sunsets with quotes about betrayal. Then, defiant selfies with captions like, leveling up alone nail polish. The comments were a mix of heart emojis from strangers and, increasingly, pointed questions from what must have been real-life acquaintances who'd heard the other side. One comment under a photo of her looking pensively out a coffee shop window stood out at Jen Bridges. Thought you were summiting the real peak. With Vector? Heard that fell through. Everything okay? The comment was deleted within an hour, but the screenshot lived on. Mike sent it to me with the subject line, Karma's a quiet browser history. The final, satisfying data point came from my old landlord, Mr. Chun, who called about my official change of address form. All settled, Mr. Walsh. Just to confirm, you are no longer on the lease for Maple Avenue. The remaining occupant, MS. Reed, has assumed full financial responsibility. That's correct, I said. He hesitated. She is frequently late, and the complaints about loud parties from other tenants have increased. It is unfortunate. You were a very quiet tenant. I hope it works out for her, I said, the phrase utterly devoid of hope. I hung up, looking around my clean, quiet apartment. The only sounds were the hum of my computer and the distant city. The unraveling was hers. The peace was mine. The ledger was balancing itself, and I was no longer the one paying the cost. The first direct breach in my new walls came 3 months to the day after the rooftop. A text from an unknown number, but the syntax was hers. Unknown. Alex, it's Sienna. Please don't ignore this. My mom is in the hospital. It's her heart. I'm a mess, and I'm all alone. I don't know who else to call. I really need you right now. Please. I felt a cold flicker, not of concern, but of recognition. It was a classic play. Her mother, Barbara, was an indefatigable yoga instructor who posted daily sunrise salutations on Facebook. I opened the app one hadn't deleted. There she was, Barbara, in a handstand on a beach, posted 4 hours ago. Hashtag living my best life. I didn't reply. I didn't block the number immediately. I saved the contact as Sienna, Tactics. I wanted a record of the trajectory. The second attempt was angrier, needier, and came with a location tag, my new gym. She must have gotten the address from an old receipt in the apartment, or maybe she'd cyber-stalked my Instagram, which only had a single, recent photo of the new view from my balcony. I was mid-set on the bench press when I felt a presence hovering. I racked the bar and sat up. She stood there, in designer athleisure that had never seen sweat, her arms crossed. She looked thinner, sharper, with a hard glint in her eyes that her soft filter selfies would never show. You think you can just ghost me? She hissed, keeping her voice low but venomous. After everything I did for you? I made you interesting. You were a spreadsheet with a pulse before I got a hold of you. I took a slow sip from my water bottle, my breathing already steady. You're blocking the rack. Her composure cracked. Look at me. I'm talking to you. A few people glanced over. I remained seated, wiping my neck with a towel. I'm sorry you feel that way, I said, the most generic, dismissive customer service phrase I could muster. It wasn't an apology, it was a wall. I am sorry, she said, misinterpreting, latching onto the word. It was a joke. You have no sense of humor. You took a private conversation and weaponized it. I stood up, towering over her not with aggression, but with sheer, uninterested mass. I looked her directly in the eyes, and I gave her a faint, pitying smile, the kind you'd give a child throwing a tantrum in a supermarket. The joke's over, Sienna. The placeholder has left the building. I put my noise-canceling earbuds in, selected a podcast, and lay back down under the bar. I did my next set with perfect form. When I sat up again, she was gone. The phantom had been exorcised by pure, mundane indifference. The third attempt came via a more complex proxy. My office phone rang. My assistant, Maya, patched it through. A Barbara Reed for you, Alex. Says it's personal. I almost admired the gambit, putting her mother up to it. I took the call. Alex, honey, it's Barbara. Her voice was a poor imitation of warmth, layered over steel. Barbara, I'm calling about Sienna. She's not well. This separation has been so hard on her. She's lost, Alex. She made a mistake, we all do. But what you're doing, this silent treatment, this cruelty, it's breaking my daughter. I let the word cruelty hang in the air of my sunny, corner office. What would you like me to do, Barbara? I asked, my tone politely curious, as if she'd asked me to handle a printing error. Forgive her. Talk to her. Be the man I thought you were. The stable one. She needs that stability now more than ever. Her little career thing didn't work out. She's feeling very insecure. There it was. The core asked. Return to your post. Resume your function. Barbara, I said, cutting her off gently. Sienna told me, in explicit terms, that I was a temporary stability solution. She was correct. My stability is now my own. It is not a service I provide anymore. I wish you both the best. You're a selfish, heartless boy, she snapped, the facade gone. After all we welcomed you into, goodbye, Barbara. I placed the receiver down. The last flying monkey had crashed. The siege was failing. The Tech Forward Awards Gala was the kind of event I would have dreaded a year ago, a sea of schmoozing and superficial chatter. Now, it was a professional validation. My project had won the Innovation in Efficiency Award. I was there with my team, wearing a tuxedo I'd bought for myself. I felt good, solid, present in a way I never was with her. I was at the bar, getting a sparkling water for myself and a gin and tonic for Maya, my lead developer, when I caught a familiar scent. Not her perfume, but the cloud of aspirational desperation that followed her. Alex. I turned. Sienna stood there. She was dressed to stun in a tight, silver dress, but it looked like a costume. Her face was gaunt under the careful makeup. Beside her was a man in his 50s with a comb-over and a too-tight tuxedo jacket, already looking bored and scanning the room. Her +1 for the evening. Her current stability base camp. Sienna. I acknowledged, my voice neutral, as if recognizing a vague acquaintance from a long-ago conference. You look really good, she said, her eyes scanning me with a hungry, calculating look I now found clinically interesting. Thank you. I heard about your award. That's amazing. I always knew you had it in you. She took a step closer, lowering her voice. I miss you. I've been seeing a therapist. Really doing the work. I realize now I was self-sabotaging because I was scared. Scared of how real it was with you. The words were smooth, rehearsed. A new script for a new target audience. The successful version of me. I didn't reply. I just waited, watching her. She faltered under the silence. What we had, it was real, Alex. I know I messed up, but it was real. I took a sip of my water. What we had was a transaction. I stated, the analysis final. You provided a distraction. I provided a subsidy. The transaction concluded on the rooftop of the aviary. Her eyes glistened, but now with a flash of the old anger. Do you hate me? Is that it? You have to hate me to be this cruel. This was the moment. The final data point to log. I set my glass down and looked at her, not with hate, not with pity, but with the pure, clean emptiness of a closed account. Hate requires a constant emotional investment. Sienna. It means you're taking up space, rent-free, in someone's mind. I gestured slightly to the room, to my team laughing nearby, to the award plaque on our table. I don't think about you at all. You're a footnote in a report I filed months ago. Now, if you'll excuse me, my colleagues are waiting. I picked up Maya's gin and tonic. I didn't look back. I walked towards my team, towards the laughter and the genuine respect. I felt her eyes on my back, a last, phantom itch. Maya took her drink. Who was the iceberg in the silver dress? She murmured. No one, I said, and for the first time, it was the absolute, profound truth. Just someone I used to see. Across the room, I saw her date pat her arm absently, his eyes locked on a younger woman across the bar. Sienna stood rigid, alone in the glittering crowd, holding a melting drink. She wasn't crying. She just looked empty. The placeholder had been replaced. The upgrade was complete. And I was finally, irrevocably, something better. Thanks for watching. Make sure to subscribe to the channel and hit the like button. What do you think about this story? Share it in the comments.